Hey, Coinmonger. How are you doing? Appreciate the bits as always. Thanks a lot. Doing a bit of kind of impromptu late night streaming here. Having some issues with this stream. This game, for whatever reason, is not performing well. Hey, Shuma, thanks so much for subscribing. Really appreciate that. That's really awesome of you. Thanks for joining us on this late night stream here. We're having a bit of performance issues with this game in particular, but thank you so much for jumping in. Yeah, this is the Haunted PS1 demo disc. So these are games that are inspired by the look and feel of PS1 era games. We figure since this is October, we're going to play some scary games. And so that was Delusion. Each one of these is a demo. So they are short little tidbits of games that will have full releases, which you can find on itch.io. But yeah, thanks, Shuma. Appreciate that so much. So let me switch over real quick here, and I can show you all the other games that we'll be looking at, because we're going to be playing Disc 1. So the next one we'll be looking at is Effigy. Here we go. So you can see it even has a cool demo disc selection screen. So we're looking for, here we go, Effigy. You have to give me a moment, y'all, because each game has its own launcher. You can see the description here. Explore an abandoned prison moon that has been overrun by a cult of former inmates in this fast-paced retro FPS. Alright, let me switch over to this game capture. You can definitely hear the old school FPS sound there. Alright, let's see. Some standard controls here. Ouch. Hopefully we'll get better performance out of this game right here. Let me check that one more time. Interact, reload. Give me 1 second, folks, to okay. I'm trying to see if this Haunted PS1 I can find it on the Twitch choice. Okay, cool. Alright, let's start this demo. Alright, maybe it was just the last game then that we were getting performance issues with. Jump around a little. I think we're good. Find a way to power the elevator. Oh. Definitely reminds me of old school Hexen Heretic vibes, if you are, any of you are familiar with those games. A lot of strafe shooting. Checking to see if those were altars by any chance. Huh. Didn't I just pick this up? Do I have to choose it? I swear I had this power orb just in my hands here. Okay, that's weird. Let me try this run. See if I can go back and pick it up. Oh, so it has a certain amount of time, yeah, that you have to take it and drop it off. There we go. So that should power the elevator. Let me check here one more time before I jump right in. I think this is where I started, right? I don't remember another button. It's kind of unfortunate you can't go back. No. Here we go. Okay, now it's working. Okay. Let's go down and or up and see what we got here. Oh God. Is everybody shooting me? Of course. I don't know what the range is on this gun. I guess we're about to find out. Oh. Oh, damn. Am I back to the beginning here? Let's see. Did all of these guys respawn? Of course they did. This is an old school game, huh? At least now I can go back and collect all these things I missed. Okay. Yeah, everybody respawns. Okay. Jesus. It's pretty unforgiving there, isn't it? You remember these days? Where if you missed the platform, you had to oh my god, just like that? Are you kidding me? And here I thought I was amazing. If you guys watched when I was playing Sewer Rave, and it was just flying through the platforming jumps like no problem, and here we go. My sleep-deprived self at this late. Oh, this ain't too bad. I definitely appreciate them capturing the feel of the PS1 era, but it also does remind me of, honestly, some of the issues that we've kind of, in many ways, I feel like we've moved past. But that's not to not give a shout out and appreciate the fact that these people have done a cool job recreating an era and aesthetic that a lot of people may not necessarily remember or be familiar with. But I think there's definitely, it's interesting when you think about it, like, is the challenge to, when you're making a game of this nature for a PS1, haunted PS1 demo disc, are they trying to capture like the full-on PS1 feel from the graphics to the gameplay? Because I would argue that in this case, yeah, capturing the graphics and the feel are important, but definitely still it's worthwhile to add some kind of modern gameplay sensibilities to the mix. If you're going to add frustration just to mimic the era, then I think it's it needs to be justified. There has to be like a purpose. I see you, Shuma, saying, "Yep." I assume you're agreeing with that as well. But this demo disc is definitely already capturing a lot of those feelings of the PS1, Saturn, N64 era. So a mid to late 90s feel for sure. You can still see those guys down there. At least the distance seems pretty good. You can kind of see the sparks of the shot. Yeah, I can actually hit him, I think. Yeah. I think most of the games on here are demos. There are a couple, I believe, that are the full game. This is available for free on itch. The Haunted PS1 demo disc, which is interestingly not the same as... Is there a secret here? I feel like... Okay, almost a missed opportunity for like a secret right here, right? There was an itch challenge to make Halloween-themed PS1 era games, but that was actually separate from this. This actually came out in February of this year, I believe. And so for Indie Game Club tomorrow, we are gonna... God, can you imagine if I fell down there? Like, have we got a little more spoiled too? Because like right now, as I gotten older, I have less and less patience. All right, let me see what you got. Shim is saying 2 trains of thought: maintain the OG feel completely, or capture the graphics and the type of game and apply, while applying modern lessons. The former is more retro, in my opinion. The latter. Okay, gotcha. Let me read that one more time. Maintain the OG feel completely, or capture the graphics and the type of game and apply, while applying modern lessons. Yeah. I think I got you there, Shuba. Maybe you can describe. So you're saying, are you agreeing to the idea that like you can capture like a certain aesthetic and a basic feel? Like I'm definitely down with the idea of maintaining like a fast-paced like shooter of this nature. That's totally cool. I mean, we've seen Doom and Doom Eternal bring kind of a resurgence of that. I mean, it, I guess, has really been pushing that with Quake Champions a couple years back. And really we saw an era that kind of moved more towards like military-based shooting, you know, with Call of Duty and Halo popularizing the whole idea that you can't hold a ton of weapons. Like here, you know, we have a scroll wheel when we're just flipping through. So this is definitely old school in that regard. But I think it sounds like we're on the same page there. And if you are going to keep some of the retro stuff, I think you have to do it with a specific purpose. Let's see. That's cool, a merchant. So for me, you know, it's funny, like looking... I'll skip this since we just read it. For me, also, kind of what I remember of this era is I remember a clear departure, like the moment. I literally remember Christmas of '98 when Half-Life came out, and actually I got Sin as well, if people remember that. There's actually going to be a I guess remaster of sorts. I use that term a bit loosely because I think it's just like literally updating the kind of the textures and some basic things. But that kind of era closed the door for a lot of this stuff. I remember also, like, I think Hexen 2 had come out the year before, but that was, it seemed like a move towards scripted events and more sophisticated gameplay was afoot, and there was a clear, like, line in the sand. And we slowly saw the end of, I should never say the end, but the kind of, am I gonna get smashed here? We slowly saw the kind of transition over away from one playstyle to another more so. Of course, there were games like Serious Sam and Painkiller and others that kind of maintained this kind of 90s kind of run and gun feeling. So I'm totally cool with keeping that, but there's some things like the platform puzzles are what's kind of, you know, I'm having trouble thinking of a lot of the games at the moment that are FPS games that do like platforming well outside of like a Mirror's Edge of sorts, where that is like a core component of the gameplay. Shuma is saying game devs got smarter on how to apply the limitations of the technology at the time. Yeah, no, that's a good point, and that's why I feel for a lot of those. Honestly, I feel like this is the era of games that has survived least well. I mean, if you go back, for example, you go back to play Chrono Trigger on Super Nintendo, it still plays incredibly well, and the 2D aesthetic is still maintained. But this early 3D, you know, this 95, 96 era, especially, is when like a lot of these designers were trying to figure things out, which is a miracle actually, or I should say, like, you know, the people at Nintendo especially, for example, need a pat on the back for all the stuff they pioneered with Mario 64 and Ocarina of Time, considering they didn't really have many other games to look to. What was that game that came out when the early PS1, that Jumpin' Jack Flash game, that was like a jumping platforming 3D game? Let's see. You can tell we're about to be some boss fight. I'm assuming this is kind of the end of the demo. Oh god. See, stuff like this, for example. Like, the game hasn't established that there's necessarily going to be some sort of reward there. So are they incentivizing me to go there out of my sense of exploration? But we've had a couple permanent upgrades. You know what? I'm too tired. You guys know me, normally I like to explore every little detail, but I am going straight into this battle if possible here. But I am digging this whole... Oh, I guess I can't. I guess I am going the other way. Change of plans. You know, it's funny also thinking about how a lot of this stuff, even on the console side, since this is more... These games are more in line with what you would see in the PS1 console era, because I think at that point we still saw a definitive power difference between PC and consoles. You know, I remember debating with my friends playing Quake Online, and they were playing Turok and on N64, and you know, at that point, it definitely, you had such a huge difference. Making the jump over to PC felt massively different. Where am I supposed to go? The orb? So there's no orbs there. I'm not gonna lie, folks, I didn't totally grasp what this guy said. Did he say I had to go back to one of those huts again? Okay. Looking for offerings. I've heard some mutterings of a good one in those mud pyramids they built on top of the valley. You must have seen them on your way up. Mud pyramids. Do I have to go back? There's honestly no way through this. Oh boy, okay. And there's nothing about these orbs, right? These aren't the orbs, these are just light sources. You're kidding me, right? Do I really have to go all the way back? What's interesting about developing one of these games in modern times is, you know, having to downscale your textures in order to replicate this aesthetic, which is really cool. Kudos to all the folks on this demo disc for definitely capturing that part of the feel. I guess my one concern about all of this is that I think a lot of these, from my understanding, the goal is this is a demo disc of actual full-on games. And my concern about that is, if I'm being honest, and you guys know how supportive I am of the indie game dev scene, thus far I'm not convinced that I would purchase these games. Again, not to say that they are bad. See, like, that should have been a secret, right? There should be something here, right? If we're totally doing that. And so I think that it's one thing to just do a demo that replicates like a feeling, like this, for example. All of this territory, all this level geometry, like what is the point? If you're not rewarding the players for exploring, I know you can move quite quickly. Like, is that your standard walk? And that's your... I thought I was walking faster earlier, was I not? I mean, this is kind of a little cooler in terms of a lot of games of this era on the console side didn't necessarily have this whole component. But I mean, like, honestly, what is this right here? So I'm just kind of like running through like cracks in the wall sort of thing and glitch space. Like, this is bothersome right here. So indeed, if I have to go back all the way to the beginning, I probably am about to switch to a different game. And again, you all know me, I normally give games a full bit of attention just to get the full experience, but in the interest of time and the fact that we have quite a few more demos to go through in preparation for tomorrow, we might just have to skip ahead. Yeah, alright, so let's jump over to the next one here. Yeah, this game actually doesn't even allow you to escape to menu. Okay, here, hold on, give me a second here. So that was Effigy. For going back. Interesting game, and I definitely want to check out the other components because you can see there's more weaponry and definitely captures that feel. Like I said, I get, even though the weapons don't necessarily remind me of, I guess they feel kind of Quake-ish in that regard. I was going to say the game itself reminds me more of like a Hex and Heretic kind of feel, especially like when Hexen made the jump over into the Quake engine and wasn't really using I forget the early Heretic and Hex in the original, I believe. I don't know if they were some modified form of the build engine or not. Shuma is saying, unpopular opinion, don't reward devs college projects. That's a good point. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of one of the interesting pieces about it. You're saying, I get it though, it harkens back. Yeah. Well, I guess I'm just glad that you all are kind of an agreement on this part. Like, it's a bit hard, I will say. Part of the reason this is kind of hard to do is there's just so many games right now. There are so many games to cover, and we're flooded with stuff that things that I might have been like, oh, that's kind of cool. I'd like to check that out. I have a lot less patience for. And again, I don't want to be that guy who's just like judging a book by its cover, playing for like 5 minutes and being like, I totally get it, because there's a lot of games. Like, for example, I'll give a good example. Right before this, I was playing Spelunky 2. Spelunky is one of my absolute favorite games of all time. I played it right when it came out, the original version, before it was on Xbox and PC. There was a Game Maker version. And I remember the first time I played it, I was like, I played it for a few minutes, died, a few minutes, died, as you do in that game. And it didn't click with me. And then that night, after I went to bed, woke up, and I was like, man, there's something about this game. And I kept on coming back to it. I reinstalled it, kept on coming back to it. And I was absolutely hooked and in love with that game. And it became one of my favorite games of all time. These so far, I don't see like that level of depth. And again, it's not. I don't want to compare necessarily in all cases. That looked like a door right there. Maybe that was the problem. Was it literally a door that I didn't go through? Not exactly sure. But yeah, you're saying it harkens back, but it needs a lot of refinement even to mimic a PS1. Yeah, Shim, I'm totally with you. I totally feel what you're saying. Let's check out another one here. So we went to Effigy. So the next one let's go to is ERASURE. And I'm doing these in order because that was the order of the first demo disc, and so that's what we're going to cover. I will say I absolutely love this, even from the sound effects to like this early 3D look that was prevalent in demo discs of this time. You remember when you were showing off like the cool effects of 3D, and even though these look clearly like they're sprites that are just moving around and changing size, it is cool. So this is ERASURE. Let's see this. Working alone at night, only the hum of dozens of deep simulation pods to keep you company. Something is waiting for you. Okay. So here we go. Let me switch real quick, because as I said, each one of these has its own launcher. So just give me one moment. All right, this is ERASURE. Oops. Okay, now this is of a very different style. So what are we doing here? Left click, grab. And again, I'm going into these completely blind. Left click, grab. Right click, release. Interesting. Okay. There's a little puzzle game here. I'm not seeing any other buttons here. Aligned vectors. Okay, so that's controlling that corner there. I like how it changes the sound as well. I don't quite know what I'm doing here. I'm trying to match these, because every one of these seems to have... Is there another command I can do? What? Okay, now we're getting into tank controls. Very much Resident Evil 1. Interesting. Also, shout out to Alone in the Dark, if anybody remembers the originals, the OG ones that oftentimes get forgotten. I remember those were some of the first PC games I got. I think that series really did a lot for the horror genre, and of course, most people only remember that for the more modern versions that were released on Dreamcast and a few other consoles. But those definitely deserve to be spoken of when thinking about. There's always like a few games that are ahead of their time, right? And Alone in the Dark was one of those for sure. Hey Shuma, thanks so much again for the subscription. Appreciate you you dropping by. If you want to come out and check us out tomorrow, oh, there's a hole here on Indie Game Club. Please do so. Would love to have your thoughts in the chat, and yeah, thanks again. Really appreciate it. Have a great night. Yeah, this one's really bizarre. Although I'm really liking it for that reason. Oh, so you have to use the mouse wheel for this. I don't even know what I did there, folks. That's the other part of this, I will say, that a lot of these old school games kind of relied on this kind of... You remember the feeling when you couldn't even know exactly what to do next, on top of a horror game, which itself is kind of mysterious and sometimes a little unforthcoming about how to proceed forward. I think sometimes it's a recipe for frustration. Can I leave this elevator? No? Oh boy. No, please. Oh man. Are you serious? No, there's no way to reset this part without resetting the whole thing. Oh man. This haunted demo disc really is taking me back. Let's... Alright, I'm gonna come back to that one. Honestly, I'm gonna come back to that. I'm gonna jump to the next game, which is... let me pull up the next games. I'm actually gonna look at them a little bit. Two of them say full version, so I want to kind of know a little bit about what we're getting into. All right, let's get into all right, I'm looking at games from the first disc. Heartworm is one. Alright, let's give this one a try. What does this say? Sam receives a strange tape in the mail. Watching it brings her to a deeply unsettling place that feels strangely familiar. Yeah, it's hard in all these cases not to, like, directly compare what they're. Let me change the game capture to you know, Resident Evil, Silent Hill-ish feelings. So let's see. This is Heartworm. Oops. Hold on. Sorry, folks. Yeah, we're getting a little issues with the game capture because it's actually launching separate applications for each of these games. Okay, that should do it. Yeah, immediately strong Resident Evil vibes. The fixed camera angles, or at least for the most part fixed. You get a little bit of a tilt there that follows the protagonist, but tank controls are in effect. Sam, redacted 23-year-old female, average height, weight, no relevant medical history, patient reported insomnia, recurring intrusive thoughts related to self-harm / harm to others, low self-esteem, obsessive tendencies, episodes of panic, and high baseline anxiety, 7 of 10. Patient describes these symptoms as chronic and varying in severity, possibly related to traumatic events from childhood. Patient also mentions social relationships suffering as a result of symptoms. Observation, preliminary labs returned normal, heart rate and blood pressure elevated. Patient avoided eye contact and appeared anxious. She only spoke when queried. Patient appeared detached, preoccupied with thoughts. Assessment: the following diagnoses are based on currently available information. They may change as additional information becomes available. Post-traumatic stress disorder, obsessive compulsive disorder, anxiety disorder, unspecified, major depressive disorder, recurrent moderate, panic disorder, generalized anxiety disorder. Plan: need to gather more information. Patient referred to psychiatrist for further evaluation. Urged to follow up at clinic in 7 days. Patient encouraged to research exposure therapy. Uh-oh. What do we got here? I picked up the VHS tape. I put the tape in. Let's see what's on it. Got a little cool style to it. I'm feeling it. That's interesting. You're watching yourself in a tape. Do you remember? I think there's a reason why we see, you know, I think a lot of us expected that there was going to be a resurgence in this style, or nostalgia, I should say, is a better term. You know, we saw kind of a lo-fi pixel art, kind of trying to recreate that 16-bit era, and then, oh, that was cool. It was a cool little effect. And it wouldn't come as any surprise that the next generation coming up, who for them these were some of their first games for them to experience, that there wouldn't be some sort of nostalgia like this. That totally makes sense. Refrigerator was moved. Can I pull it? This wall is covered in deep scratches. There's not really an indication of... Oh, controls. Here we go. Let's interact. L? I was also using space for that, I believe. Okay, yeah, space works too. But what I was going to say is this aesthetic works, I think, especially good for horror games, not only because, you know, so many of the famous games of that era, Resident Evil, Silent Hill, like, had this aesthetic, but it also just has a kind of a creepy, nostalgic vibe to it, if that makes sense. So I think we've seen a lot of games kind of return to this aesthetic for scary games. Alright, let me stop running around. Trying to figure out, wasn't there another hallway here? Okay, no. Oh boy. Alright, what are we looking for? Can I try to open this? Oh, here we go. This little side room that I didn't even notice. Hallucinations as a trauma-based memory. Implications for psychological interventions. Routine information processing involves a process called contextual integration, whereby detailed encoding of incoming stimuli takes place, which facilitates later memory recall. For example, being able to remember who was at your birthday by recalling a full contextual image of the event. Also being able to remember what happened before and after a specific event due to the integration of relevant temporal information. However, during a traumatic event, the need for a quick behavioral response requires rapid information processing is achieved through a temporary decrease in contextual integration and a quick response based on a basic perceptual process. Provision of a rapid response to danger has the consequence of a vulnerability to experiencing intrusive memories of the stressful event at a future date. The reduced contextual processing of the trauma stimuli, makes them difficult to recall on a voluntary basis due to the lack of integration with cues which normally facilitate recall. However, the information is typically triggered involuntarily by stimuli which have a perceptual match to some aspect of the traumatic event. Sound or visual stimuli that invokes memory of the event. Therefore, within these theories, reduced levels of contextual integration are considered central to the development of trauma-related intrusive memories. Thereafter, the intrusions may be maintained through a number of cognitive and behavioral processes, such as avoidance, in order to develop a presentation of PTSD. However, in order to be diagnosed with PTSD, the individual or their clinician is likely to be confident that the intrusions are in fact memories of a stressful event. In summary, the relationship between hearing voices, seeing visions, and traumatic events continues to intrigue clinical researchers. However, a full theoretical understanding remains elusive. The subgroup of voices and visions which are directly linked to stressful events are likely to be responsive to interventions which are based on a well-developed theoretical understanding of reactions to trauma. Whew. Okay, that was a lot. I'm assuming the key we got was to the garage. Maybe at least we can open this door. Or maybe it was to that. I hope that was not the... I hope we had locked it from the inside and that the key goes into here. So we can keep this going. Oh, I'm assuming so, because the camera changed. Now that I thought was cool. That was a part of the fixed camera angles that I appreciated. Like being able to highlight certain attention to, you know, like the book you see there. This kind of the cinematic nature of it, I definitely appreciated. There's something a bit lost in that, you know, like early games like Metal Gear Solid and others really captured quite well. Narcissus and Goldman, Hermann Hesse. He thought that all men trickled away, changing constantly until they finally dissolved, while the artist created images, remained unchangeably the same. He thought that the fear of death was perhaps the root of all art, perhaps also of all things of the mind. We fear death, we shudder at life's instability, we grieve to see the flowers wilt again and the leaves fall. In our hearts we know that we, too, are transitory and will search for laws and formulate thoughts. It is in order to salvage something from the great dance of death, to make something that lasts longer than we do. Perhaps the woman after whom the master shaped his beautiful Madonna is already wilted or dead, and soon he too will be dead. Others will have in his house and eat at his table, but his work will still be standing hundreds of years from now and longer. It will go on shimmering in the quiet cloister church, unchangingly beautiful, forever smiling with the same sad flowering mouth. A lot of VHS tapes. So I think the question is, how do I get that book down? Oof. Alright, folks, maybe I can move one of these things? There we go. I was trying to see if there was anything to interact. Jeez, these tank controls. Is that gonna move the garage? Okay. Book that doesn't open. Something's gonna trigger, right? sure this thing still isn't opening, but I guess take the book back in the house. There's still this light over here, actually. We probably should go investigate. Yeah, we already read that. Oh, here we go. Is that the missing book? They got the book connected to the refrigerator. Okay, now. Oh no, I'm not liking the idea of going into the basement. All these VHS tapes. See, that's creepy too, right? I think like there's like a lot of nostalgic creepiness. What is it about that? We'll have to discuss that on Indie Game Club tomorrow. And what was the point of that right there? Hundreds, maybe thousands of VHS tapes. Each one is dated. It seems like they go back decades. Was I not supposed to? I feel like that's not supposed to happen. I honestly feel like that the only thing I can interact with, it's stuck on something and now I can't push it out. Oh man. Okay, maybe that helps. Maybe that was the indication that I didn't understand. That it's supposed to show you that you can interact with these types of shelves. And by doing so, it indicates to you to explore other shelves like that. Alright, I could dig that. Oh boy. Okay, Sam, I tried calling you, but your phone is disconnected and I didn't know what else to do. Everyone is worried. Your boss called Mom and said you stopped showing up. I called Jane, but she said she's not talking to you anymore. I know I haven't always been there for you, but if you need anything, I want to help. What's going on with you? Is this about what happened? It was 10 years ago, Sam. It's not your fault. You can hang on to this forever. You can't hang on to this forever. I love you. Please call me. Wow, so we went to a basement and they got an elevator in there? To go even further down, I assume? Okay. This is cool. think that's what we saw earlier near the garage, right? And I can't move during this part. Heartworm. Okay, interesting. That was interesting.
Do you remember the first time you realized that one day you were going to die? Do you remember the way that fear went through you? Like electricity? The way it consumed your thoughts? The way it paralyzed you? Do you remember that day? Don't worry. I'll remind you.
So that was Heartworm. That was interesting. Might have been one of the most interesting of the bunch that we've played so far. Let's see. So we still have... So we've done Dread Delusion, Effigy, Erasure, and Heartworm. We still have a few more up. Let me switch the game capture. This is one as well. Alright, let's check this out. So, Insomino, a collection of 5 different experiences attempting to recreate my dreams as a game. Interesting. Let's give it a go. Give me 1 second here. Alright, Insomino. Oh, that's, I like that. Wake up, going back. Let's dream. I'm liking this kind of visual filter so far. Alright, so just so you guys know, I cannot move past that. Okay, well, here's the last part. Teeth. That was Insomnia, excuse me. Interesting. Yeah. I'll have definitely more to say about that tomorrow. I enjoyed the aesthetic to that. I'm still concerned about some of the gameplay in this demo disc. I got to be honest. So we still have Filth Breed, Dead Heats. Let's see if we can find those. Alright, give me 1 second, folks. I'm looking through these real quick. Alright, let's try this Filth Breed. This filth comes crawling out of the cracks. Alright, let's try this one. This is probably the last one we'll do for tonight. Hmm. Okay. That's ending one, apparently. That was interesting. Let's try that again. So we read all this. I will say this game does not, immediately off the bat, does not feel PS1 era. PS2, maybe. You were right, Sally. We should never have trusted these crazy fucks. They keep us all down here in the dark, trapped like cattle. We're just animals to them. Some of us are even starting to act the part. There's this Lucas guy who walks on all fours and bites you when you're sleeping. I miss you, Sally. I miss the gang back home. I miss fucking Brightmoor. I hear them chanting again. It's time. Took the gun right out of his pocket, and the idiot didn't even flinch. If only I'd had the balls to do it before. It's too late for me now. Whoever's reading this, I pray you can make better use of it. Just don't bother aiming for the head. I've seen those freaks last well over a week without it. Just don't bother aiming for the head. Okay. I see the gun. I just want to see something. If there was anything else. Oh god. What's that sound? Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay, I'm not gonna lie. That scared the hell out of me. Oof. That sound is creepy as hell. Oh boy. These types of games, I'm not gonna lie, scare me. Exit. Oh, this is where we started. What am I doing? Got the note. We went in there. Okay, so we're here. God. This one's probably the first one that legitimately scares me just because of the kind of the lighting and the kind of the power dynamic, where I was gonna say you don't see many bullets, but that looks like it's ammo, right? So speak of the devil. Are they getting in? Are they coming out? Clever little buggers pulling out my teeth, laying eggs under my tongue so I can't chew and spit. Every time I wake up, there are roaches in my mouth. Are they getting in? Are they coming out? What time is it? What day is it? It all just blends together. After a while, I can't even tell dream from reality anymore. No matter if I open or close my eyes, it's only this pitch black shroud around me. What's worse is the things I do here. I wish I did it. There's crawling hands and feet all over the ceiling, and they can't be all mine. 4 bullets left. Yeah, this game is legit giving me the creeps, I'm not gonna lie. Like a mouth screaming. Oh. Oh. I seriously, in real life, I'm not kidding, I probably would have taken that first ending. Seriously, who wants to get involved in all this? Oh god, now this door's open. So now I think we're just walking back, I assume, through what we just did in the creepiest fashion possible. Yeah, I'm just gonna walk out of here. I can't exit now? Oh, here I can. Is there anything more? I don't really want to get the same ending. Maybe if I interact with this, it'll be different. No. I'm starting to feel like this is it. Got a little more here. Looks like some kind of sacred book. What language is that? Some Cthulhu stuff going on here. Let me look at that again. I just love these like places that are completely impractically built, like clearly built from like a game design standpoint, not in reality. Alright, it took a sick god to imagine a world this filthy. It took a vile god to shape a world this cruel. It takes a world this filthy to shelter us all in its putrid bosom. It takes a world this cruel to nurture us all into an existence of agony. We are but mold in the rotting apple. We are but the shadow of a madman's dance in the fire. Man is not doomed, but destined to ruin. Man is not to purge, but to fester the world. Witches' innards reveal the path. Bring forth the lice mother. Oh god. The lice mother? That sounds horrifying. Creepy kid prerequisite. Check. Oh boy, here, where is it coming? Where's the lice mother? Oh god. Jesus, no doubt this is the guy's guts has burst open and full of maggots, but the body shows no signs of rotting yet. Were they nesting inside him? How on earth is this person going in further without backup? Like what on earth? Like I'm supposed to dig deeper? Like in reality I would do this. I wouldn't go back to the cops. Alright, lice mother, come kill me. Oh, these are the eggs. Giant roaches. These giant rad roaches here. Oh my god, I used all my bullets, really? Okay, well, at this point, let's just go to that lice mother and get killed. Come on, there, lice mother, come take me away. Yep. Nothing left to do. And that is it. It auto kicks you out of the game. Okay. That was interesting. That was Filth Breed. I'm going to come back to that more tomorrow. I'm going to come back to this demo disc. Definitely love the aesthetic here of this demo disc. I have a bit mixed feelings about the games, if I'm being entirely honest. And we will definitely discuss that more later on. But for tonight, since it's so late, folks, I'm going to sign off, and definitely I'll play some more of these tomorrow before we do Indie Game Club tomorrow, or I guess today, Thursday, at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So thank you all so much for joining us. I know we're on a bit of a different schedule this week with the